Hi everyone, it's Amala, your friendly neighborhood cultural diversity advisor. I believe I would have met most of you at RA training this summer, and I'm back with a friend.
Hi, my name is Cam. I'm the coordinator of cultural diversity programs, so we're working together with Amala and creating programs for racialized students on campus.
So this week you are going to be, hopefully you already know this, hosting a meeting with your community members, and specifically you'll be talking about Black History Month. So by now you would have seen the boards that have gone up, and we're just here today to talk to you a little bit about what you can say in these community meetings, and just giving you a little bit of a reminder about some of the things that we talked about in the summer during training. So in the interest of keeping it super casual, I have my phone and I have some notes. So I am going to be looking down at them a little bit. And we encourage you to make notes so that you're comfortable delivering this using the words that feel good for you. So as we said, you'll have seen the boards that went up for Black History Month. And some of the key messages that we want you to convey to your communities is specifically about why it's relevant to celebrate Black History Month here in Canada, because there is a significant Canadian context to Black history here. And it might be helpful to provide specific examples. So, for example, a lot of folks don't know that slavery as an institution did exist here in Canada for approximately 200 years prior to 1776, when it was abolished by the British Empire. So, even after abolishment, Black Canadians were still impacted by segregation, which was the legal policies that enforced separation of certain communities. So that meant that Black folks could only have certain jobs, could only live in certain areas, could only access certain supports that were specifically for Black people. And that systemic racism and discrimination continues today.
We're also sharing we're sharing notes. Yeah, so we also wanted to kind of make the point about here at the University of Guelph that anti-Black racism and discrimination does persist in a lot of places, and places that your students as well as yourselves will engage with. So that happens in classrooms, in residence, in the city of Guelph, and really impacts the student, staff, and faculty that are here. Mm-hmm.
So we just talked about the two key messages that you'll deliver to your communities, which is number one, that racism existed historically in Canada and shaped the fabric of our nation, and number two, that it still continues to exist and to impact the lives of students here and Canadians everywhere.
Okay, so far we've reviewed the board and some of the content and why Black History Month is important, and specifically why the University of Guelph celebrates Black History Month, as well as where racism and discrimination are still present, both on campus and in the city. Amala also went over the calling in and calling out procedures that bring about some difficult conversations that you may have with some of your students. And coming up, we'll also be talking about where to take this out of Black History Month and continue that education. Okay, so you've reached the end of your community meeting, and we just kind of wanted to go over some takeaway messages for some of those students. So you'll be holding these community meetings in the last week of February. We have two final events, a keynote speech with Angela Davis on February 26th at 7 p.m., as well as the closing ceremony on February 28th at 12 p.m. in the University Courtyard. We also wanted to kind of share the message that folks can take away some of their education around Black History Month and having continued conversations about issues of race and identity, and continued learning through the various programs that we have on campus. So the important learning that not all of the education has to happen in February, but there are also a lot of opportunities both online and present on campus that you can take to continue that education.
All right, that brings us to the end of this little video. So just to recap, we covered 3 main things. Thing 1, the main messages that you want to get across to your students are why we celebrate Black History Month in Canada in general, and here specifically at the University of Guelph, and calling attention to the fact that racism and discrimination has existed and continues to exist, and there are many important contributions that Black Canadians have made throughout our history and into our current landscape here in Canada. Thing 2 was the call-in, call-out conversation. So sometimes when we have these talks, it can get a little bit difficult, but remember, you absolutely have the skills, I know, because you were trained by me, to have these conversations. And if you need help in any of that regard, feel free to contact us, of course. And then the last point that we covered, or that Cam covered rather, was remember that we have events, of course, still happening, that you can bring your communities to, and that this doesn't have to end with the end of February. We have events throughout the year that you can bring your communities to, or that you can attend yourselves, and many good things are coming.
And also remember that you will have additional resources recapping a lot of this information, as well as any resources that you can reach out to, like Amla mentioned, to either of us if you have any further questions or any further conversations that you have with your students. And I think that's it for us.